Hey guys, this is Mauisnake, and today I'm going to be going over syrsoN, who just had a monster game against Astralis. He actually just did very well against NIP, at least in the first map. I'm recording it during the second series going on today at Blast Premiere, but all in all, this performance from syrsoN was spectacular, and look at the stats right here. I mean, I usually don't just point to them like this, but over 100 ADR as an opper and 9 first kills. And that plus 9, it's not like he got 10 and lost one duel. He got straight up 9-0. So, yeah, this is going to be fun. It starts a little slow, but all in all, this is a crazy game. And this was like the easiest time I've had having to pick one of these demos. So hopefully you guys enjoy. And honestly, if you guys want to see me do the Vertigo game that he just played against NIP, let me know in the comments, because I don't usually just do back-to-back same player kind of demos, but I feel like this might be a good time to make an exception there. So early on, though, what we're going to see is a 4-1 setup from Big. You can see that the one player at B, tabseN, has a smoke and a flash, and he's just defending this by his lonesome. And syrsoN and eTYMOLOGY are playing a bait setup here at Arch side. Long side, whatever you call it, but it's not actually going to be challenged, so you're going to see that he will fall off the angle and move on in to try to help out at B. You can see that he's just going for some of those typical lineups through the smoke. The first one is if anyone's crossing. The second one is that kind of a more standard one if anyone's kind of hugging that first oranges area. And this round gets really hairy, but the fact that Big doesn't actually have a kit really hurts them. So what they do here is that they also don't have a flash, so watch how they play this. syrsoN actually boosts Keto, and he just jumps on out, gets the entry, and then now it's up to the rest of Big to try to clean this up. But actually, Astralis are able to win this 2v4. And the fact that they have no kit, they're trying to just human shield this. They're all lining up, as eTYMOLOGY is still trying to defuse this, but he actually does get taken out at the very end of everything. So, kind of it feels like it's unfortunate for Big, but at the same time, I feel like they really could have used a kit. I think that was kind of the main lesson to learn from this round. So, here we see actually Big going for a 4-1. syrsoN is the lone defender towards A, and he still takes up the arch side. There was early banana presence from Big, actually, but they couldn't really accomplish anything, and now we see syrsoN actually rotates towards B himself to try to help out the defense there. It's just a really strong angle for an opera without armor here, as he is kind of a glass scout, to just be playing coffins, because you can take one shot here, which is kind of an off angle more or less, and then the second shot you can take is jumping up on the coffins itself, and then you're playing a headshot angle. So if you get tagged the first time as they're rounding the corner, you could just jump up and play a headshot angle very quickly. It's one of the best ways to play a headshot angle, or basically a no body armor type of spot. But we don't actually see that transpire, as they end up just saving because the A defense doesn't hold up. So syrsoN's able to take the scout into the upcoming round. And like I said, it's pretty quiet to start things off here, but syrsoN will try to get himself activated as they throw the one-way smoke. Just swinging into the far spot there towards car. If you guys want to know how to throw that smoke, you actually move to this corner right here. You aim at this little apex thing right here, this little X that's actually on the antenna, and that is how you throw the one-way smoke for car. It's very difficult to see a lot of operas play there, and it also cancels out, I would say, like 95% of Molotovs. So I think there is a way to actually make the Molotov still burn that area, but it's like super specific. So it basically has to be a counter for it, and then it actually isn't as strong for just playing in a normal sense. So we see syrsoN, though, falls off of B, rotates towards A. Very active in his rotations so far with the scout. You can see that he started Arch, and then he went to B the first time. This time he starts B, then he goes to A. And this is like actually pretty scary in what syrsoN's able to accomplish. They hear that he's on the site. He jumps off the boxes. He's just looking everywhere, very panicked. But this is just a really sweet shot that he's able to find. You kind of feel like something else could happen, but he goes for the swing and doesn't tag them. But look at how low Device and Zipnix are. If he actually found one more tag, this was very doable for him to either stay alive a little bit longer or for Keto to win a 1v2. Instead, it's a 1v3, and there's really no hope for him. So now syrsoN finally gets the op in his hands, and you'll see that the first pick he goes for in this game is kind of more or less just a peek down middle. There's a flash from the side of Astralis. They peek Big actually peek after the flash, interestingly enough. If I'm not mistaken. And then, actually, the first kill goes the way of tabseN. And syrsoN, again, just starts towards that port side. And what he does is he moves to library so that if anybody on Astralis hears him early on, just scoping up, he's now in a new spot. It's not as drastic as moving him all the way to B immediately, as he's unsure of whether or not tabseN is going to be there in time. But once tabseN arrives, syrsoN can make his way to this B site. And it's usually pretty necessary to put an op here for a couple of reasons. One is that the crossfires just end up working out very well for rifles towards A. And the other is that a lot of the times with the op here, it's very doable in a 5v4 to just find that one extra pick and fall off. And even if you don't fall off, there's like a handful of reasons why this is actually good. Another is that retaking A is already very difficult. So retaking B, very possible. So why not just put the op towards B anyways, because if they just go A and you lose it completely, then you're able to just save it a lot of the time. And also, if you're trying to catch people moving through CT, it's also very easy to just kind of post up on these long ranges with the op. But this time around, the A defense does fall, actually. Xantarez doesn't quite get him. And syrsoN, he really feels like there's a person behind default here, because he's going to just be shifting from side to side here, really expecting that. But there's just no one there. And you'll see that he tries to activate Keto here, who is now rotated in towards port side. So what syrsoN does is he throws a flash right in front of Keto. Keto goes for the first swing, and then syrsoN just trying to make noise now, and he throws another flash for Keto here, and you'll see that right when he throws that, Glaive actually swings, more or less, and now syrsoN just tries to fall off the angle, but he really kind of lackadaisically moves, just strafes across library right there, and that actually costs him his life, and he realizes he has to focus up, and that's exactly what he does for the rest of this game. So USP round here, he's got a nade and a smoke, just kind of buying some kind of odd utility. I think the nade is a little bit curious, but it's not. When you have deagles on your team, that nade has to do a lot of chunky damage for it to be ever relevant. I feel like that's just kind of one of those, I'm just going to buy it to buy it nades. And then the smoke, though, is the main strategy of what Big is doing here. They're buying 5 smokes on all of their players who are saving, and this is really common. This has been going on for, I'd say, 2 years at least, where people are just buying smoke after smoke after smoke, just using them one after the other. And ideally, if you can keep smoking a choke point starting at roughly 1 minute, you can keep re-smoking that choke point over and over again. And because smokes are roughly 20 seconds, they're more so 17.5 seconds, I think, you can really whittle down the clock and make it very uncomfortable. And so that's exactly what he does there, as they just smoke Banana. So then syrsoN re-smokes Banana, and now Keto has his smoke to re-smoke Banana once again. And so basically this will burn just so much clock, and it basically, in a way, forces Astralis, if they want to push through to B, to do it in the last 15 seconds of a round. But now we see syrsoN just on the A site. He was going to rotate back. Does throw his nade. Does, like, you know, it does okay damage, but really the main thing to take away is that he gets a kill with the USP there. Just plays around the box. Very difficult for anybody to shoot you there, because you just keep moving and shooting. And now 5-0 in the hole, and honestly, not like the craziest round. I think we can see how active syrsoN is across the map, but it does feel like he's playing in a way that's a little bit more passive, in that he's not really taking the duels to Astralis. This time around, though, he does do that, in that he's just posting up on apartments. He's even pretty wide in this angle, and he's still kind of worried about that spot, but they're really slow about it, and instead of actually holding the line there, he actually just moves back to hold. Kind of like, this is a weird setup by Big here, where basically Xantarez is in this kind of one and done-ish spot, but syrsoN would get the first contact. So if there's a second person in apartments, it'd be super unlikely for them to think Xantarez is there. But unfortunately for Xantarez, you can just get spammed through the wall, as we just saw. The blood right there, the bullets. If you actually just shoot right there, you can actually spam him. And so he has to fall off of the angle. And now syrsoN takes up this spot towards Porch, as they have to break apart that apartment setup. And now Tizian just kind of doing everything towards Arch side. So syrsoN won't even see anybody for this, as he does just move down mid. It's kind of an interesting rotation, but really that's just showing another Big setup. So here we go, run boost, and they really are trying to get syrsoN activated. I don't think he's gotten a single kill with the op yet. Misses that shot, but this is kind of what you need to do. If your opper who's so consistently good at finding opening picks isn't finding them, it's actually more or less in your best interest to run a play that you might think isn't super ideal in order to just try to get him activated. Not like that's a bad play, but this is a weird fight where he just lingers a little bit too long at this porch side, does get caught, and there's a case for him being able to fall back actually there, but he never really knows if he's going to get peek from boiler. So he just tries to hold the line, and that's not really a bad option either. If you're an op and you already found one kill, finding the second is still a way to win that round, especially given the fact that you can play around this angle where you just get one more and then you just swing back here, you know, waste a lot of their time as they try to run up on you. It's a way to just buy time, call for rotations, potentially get another kill. And syrsoN, even though he doesn't do a lot that round and that he only finds one kill, he didn't put himself in a position that was failing by any means. It was kind of actually more so he doesn't hit the shots that are offered to him. He had two chances as he peeks down mid. The first time, he had an opportunity there. And then when they swung on him into bracket, that was another time. So syrsoN, he just doesn't want to break the setup this time. So you'll see that he just stays in apartments for much longer this time. Or, actually, it must be a different round. But he will do that later, as he wants to join up with his teammate towards bracket. So you see that the setup here between himself and Xantarez is that Xantarez and him are both getting first contact on this. Although this kind of, in my eyes, doesn't make total sense that they're both holding the same thing. You do see that syrsoN does pick up the boiler angle. I'm actually really curious why they think they should both be holding the same thing, because we've seen other teams set up like this, and they all cover each other's bases. Molly, though, towards boiler, and syrsoN just wants to find that pick. He's just hungry for it. So you see there that he just peeks down mid, and if Device were holding that, he would be dead right now, and it's just a matter of timing and a matter of just wanting some information. And in rounds such as this, that little boiler Molly into peeking down mid is just a great way to safely go for a mid peek. It doesn't really activate you in any way other than, okay, it doesn't activate you in any other way other than the fact that someone from boiler can't swing on you and trade easily. But you see that he just goes for more peeks down middle, and at this point syrsoN's just kind of feeling it. That third kill was just crazy, honestly. I don't know, like he doesn't even see the player and he just shoots through the wall. It's one of those just super crazy reaction shots that he's able to pull out, and then 4K in the round, and he just keeps fighting. Like this is what syrsoN is actually just incredibly good at. And sometimes, to me, actually, when I watched Big a lot last year, I would say that one of the weakest points about Big is that it felt like it's almost like they were too procedural about the way that they fought on Inferno, because everything on Inferno can be like condensed, and you can make it in this simplistic model that you think, oh, when we peek banana, we want to use a smoke and a flash. When we peek bracket, we want to do it with a flash. But syrsoN just throws his own flash in this round and then just peeks off of it. And this is something that is really scary for teams moving forward. If Big starts to realize that this is something you really do need to do at times on Inferno, is kind of ego challenge, then this kind of opens up their playbook in a way where it almost felt a little too telegraphed, for my money, in how they played this. And I think what's interesting is that syrsoN and Keto, when they were on Sprout, were actually a very loose playing style. This is just really unfortunate for syrsoN and tabseN in that he's playing anti-flash here, thinking that no one could be close. And this is kind of a weird oversight between tabseN and syrsoN in that they had this set up again, but they just didn't catch Glaive doing that. So this is probably the biggest mistake for any round from Big, and they really just give up a free B bomb site there as they just get outed. Glaive is probably like, really? You're right there. So all in all, that setup though is relatively strong. Just one person spotting and one playing anti-flash. And this is really the most interesting round for Big in that when Anders and Semler were on the cast, and rightly so, they kind of told the audience, and I would agree with this, that a lot of these plays down middle have been pretty bad for the last couple of years, but I think in the last month we are seeing this have a lot more success in that Teams are understanding what they need to cover with these kinds of plays. We see Tizian jumping down mid. syrsoN knows that he needs to just watch this angle here. But where this really falls apart is when, if you are going for just this middle pressure, there's a lot of ways this can mess up. Is that one, if a player goes apartments and just kind of runs onto A. One is if they just swing from top mid and kill the player there. Another is if they actually go into pit right there and then they peek your player who's generally in this area. And they just covered their bases really nicely. Tizian will be holding there with a Molotov down at the bottom of mid. syrsoN will be holding this angle. And Xantras will be covering it if anybody tries to just sprint apartments thinking that there may be an opening there. So, all in all, a really good round. And you'll see now that syrsoN, he's still holding down mid for Tizian, which is kind of interesting. So, decides against throwing the flash, just realizes the best way that they can keep this setup isn't by using nades, it's by just trying to hold this with their guns. And so you'll see that syrsoN's even here to cover for actually a player that's coming from the pit and actually peeking on the steps right now. And this is just a super effective way to play this. And it works incredibly well because syrsoN's able to get the kills that he does, though. And syrsoN being on fire right now, it allows you to play a setup like this and just have full trust. Because if he misses the one shot as a player is rounding the corner at alt mid, which is kind of a gimme a lot of the time, Tizian is dead, and this setup is compromised, and now you're playing a 4v5. It only works if you get the kills. which can be said a lot about a lot of setups, to be fair. So, couple flashes towards middle right now, trying to slow down any push. And I actually want to just talk briefly about why they're throwing flashes instead of using their other utility. You'll see that Xantras and syrsoN are using flashes instead of smokes or mollies to slow down players that may be coming up mid because they were going for a 3B setup. And because of that, usually the two players at A have to cycle through their smokes, but it's just so much more valuable to have your smokes in a late round situation than to have your flashes, because look at this, in a 2v1 now, they have two smokes and a Molotov as opposed to using their smokes and molly earlier. So it's just another way to play that one out. And this is a really big gamble, I would say, from syrsoN, but it pays off, thankfully, for him, as he just walks through the smoke casually and catches Magisk out. This could have been a 1v1, but he decides to just go for the push, and I feel like Magisk is very frustrated about that, because he was planning wide in the open. He could have actually been tucked behind first oranges there and made that doable for himself, but he didn't really expect anybody to rotate that quickly and to be pushing through the smoke. So a really nice proactive play from syrsoN. And again, this is one of those things where it's like, just results-oriented thinking. Like, is it good? Or do you want to play the 2v1? Do you want to give Magisk a chance to play his spot at banana? Like, you'd rather take... Like, sometimes you just have to take these risks, and sometimes there's a lot of guesswork that goes into Counter-Strike. But knowing your opponent's tendencies by playing FPL against them, or just watching demos of them, or just kind of outlining it, having a scouting report before the game, all of that comes into play here. And so syrsoN just going to find all the eco kills here pretty much as they just keep peeking him. And pretty much this is all free for him. But nice shots, as I think he finds 2 headshots here with the op, a little bit of overkill. He almost inflicts, I think, about... Actually, he probably does inflict about 1,000 damage this round, if you actually don't cap it at 100 per kill, which is kind of fun. Okay, he actually just did about 1,300 damage overall in that one there. He found 3 op headshots on an anti-eco, so... yeah, he's just feeling it right now. I have to wonder sometimes when people do that, are they actually just kind of flexing, or is it just because they get crouch peeked over and over? I'm pretty sure it's just because they get crouch peeked. It's not. He's not just like, I'm just gonna do this for fun. Yeah, I don't think that's really actually a choice, a cognizant choice by any oppers. But you'll see syrsoN actually here is just kind of playing through the apartments here, and this is an angle that he keeps taking in early rounds, but he doesn't really commit to. But this time around, Astralis trying to change up the tempo a little bit. They go for a faster bracket play, and syrsoN just reaps the rewards because of it. They don't actually use as much utility as they could, Astralis. And syrsoN is able to just find a freebie because of that. A point that I want to make for the rest of this is that really just pay attention to just how many opening kills syrsoN gets for his team. Once he kind of realizes... And how many times in these late round situations he's also being the more proactive player between himself and the rifler, as that is now the 2nd time in a row that kill that he just gets onto the retreating Astralis member into new box. He just takes the initiative once again. this guy is not afraid of just swinging deathmatch style with the op in situations. Once he begins to trust himself, it's very difficult to stop him. And this time, he just shot through those flames right there. I don't care what settings you have. That is just a guess. That is 100% a guess. He does not have any kind of settings that you don't have. He's just taking a shot. He's just using his game sense there to just find a kill that some people might think, I can't see through the molly. I just can't see through that. But he just goes for it. So here, just posting up once again onto Dupree as they are tracked in onto his position. You can see that kind of in the late round there, him and Xantarez are playing a double bracket or a double porch setup, as they can both kind of... syrsoN can pretty much hit either of these shots relatively consistently, and then Xantarez could either just watch with him or just watch the flank. Either way, both of these players are actually quick enough that they can usually react to getting flanked in those kinds of situations if their teammate dies. But here, we'll see syrsoN, and this is where he'll finally be rewarded for his apartment's troubles, as he has gone here so many rounds in a row. And finally, he just commits to the angle. You can see that he stays here for until about 130, 125 usually, and most of the time, it feels like he would have fallen off at this angle. But this time around, he just kind of sticks it to them, looking for maybe the swing there. And this is why, this is why it's so scary to give an offer confidence, because why would you do that? You know, why would you swing into that angle when they could be there? But that's the thing. If you have the op and you feel like you're better, you are given those peaks. It doesn't matter how many times Valve nerfs the op. That is still going to be a very strong swing if you are the more confident and quicker player in the moment. I also do want to mention that syrsoN's kit is really nice in that he has the yellow gloves along the wildfire op, and he even has the D lore, or the lore M9. But as he rotates over, you can see that he throws a flash onto the site. And now in this 2v3, he actually gets nothing done, and I'm going to switch the perspective to Tizian, because this is kind of the value that Tizian has in these moments that other players don't necessarily, or even fans don't necessarily see. The 1v3 here, he knows that Astralis need to plant the bomb. They have 20 seconds left, and really he just plays this super cool, calm and collected, doesn't second guess things too much, as he does just, you know, make sure he does his due diligence in clearing his flank. But now with 10 seconds left, he knows that Astralis are just trying to slow this round down. They throw a smoke onto the site to try to get a plant down. Really good utility from Big, but just better play from Tizian. There's not really a lot that Magisk or Device could have done other than just kill him in that moment. But Tizian just steals a round away to continue the momentum for Big there going into the second half. And really just, all in all, things to say about syrsoN there is that it's just, when he's able to just take that kind of initiative, it's so scary to play against him. You can see in the first half there, he has 122 ADR. He has a 3.0 kill death ratio right now, and 7 enemies flash. Good utility damage overall. Like, he really did it all in this round, in this half for them. So wait a second. Are you pinging? I don't know if that does anything, because usually, so like the ping, by the way, usually if there's a smoke, it actually just, as soon as it hits like 1 pixel of the smoke, or 1 like sprite of it, it does just end the ping right there. So it's not like he could ping in the smoke, Tizian that is, to actually find that kill there. But all in all, like, this is that was a crazy half from syrsoN, and it just, like, the confidence he has and how easy he makes that look, even against a team like Astralis, it shows that even Astralis, when they don't have perfect utility, because a couple of the buys there from Astralis were a little bit more forcey in nature, that syrsoN can still dismantle them. Like, and I really like showing these games against Astralis, because I feel like that's where a lot of analysts are like, well, that wouldn't work against Astralis, but, like, it does. It does work against Astralis. It does work against these teams a lot of the time. So, all in all, just Astralis trying to get themselves activated in this round. They had a really bad close to that half, and they go for this aggressive play, but really there's just nothing Xyp9x can do, so he just saves. Honestly, there's not much to say about that, other than he gets a kill. But also, look at the buy for Big. Look at how much they value utility in a round such as this. And if you guys were listening closely to CS Summit and MIBR versus Cloud9, Golden kind of talked about a little bit the kind of the meta of having nades here and how important it is. And, like, you know, in your Faceit Pugs, in your Pugs, you don't usually, you want to buy that AK sometimes. You want to buy that singular smoke if you can, or maybe even just a flash. But it's just so valuable at the higher level. To counter other nades, you need nades. You can't just run through smokes unless you are really coordinated about it. Even then, it's very risky because there could be 2 players behind it. So Big, in this case, they know the kind of buy Astralis are going to go for. They know that they're going to buy these kinds of smokes and try to layer them throughout the round and just stage it in such a way that they can manipulate the pace of it, usually slowing the team down to whatever they want to do. And syrsoN throws a flash over the corner there, and that really would just cancel out if any flash were there because he's able to help out his teammate. But now he's able to scale on in with his team, and this is pretty much just a free bomb site. syrsoN doesn't really do anything here other than the nades. Nice little lineup for a clean moto smoke. And Astralis, they just want to save their guns around like this. (22-7) right now. And you see that Astralis doesn't invest anything else here. There is that nade that I think Tabson threw, interestingly enough, that landed in syrsoN's face. And syrsoN's just priming a nade to just nade the corner right there. It felt like he wanted to counter whenever he saw a nade from Astralis. You could see how he's holding on to that one, that he doesn't want to just let go of that. Although, if he would have, it actually probably would have worked better than what he just did. And look at that movement right there. Okay, like, I don't know if you guys noticed that. Rewind that, maybe, and just look at how he just crouches across that little pit right there, as opposed to lift his feet up and to jump across it instead of actually jumping across it. Like, he's so clean with things like that, and it's just so underrated how good it, like, I never even see people do that, ever. But he does get caught at Arch, and that's okay, because Big are in a position right now that they're probably going to win this round anyways, and it's actually better for syrsoN here to probably get 2 kills and just die. Like, it's okay, because he'll just farm some more cash, as opposed to, like, saving the money from the armor. I mean, saving the money from the armor is nice too, but if he gets 2 kills, he now has enough money to buy that armor anyways, and he could buy another flash. It's not even that bad, is all I'm trying to say, but he does die after only getting 1. So, syrsoN here going very aggressive early on, and this is just him feeling the confidence from the previous half, and he barely missed. If you actually look at where that bullet landed, it is right in the armpit of where that player was. It's basically just, like, that bullet is stinky when it actually hits the wall right there, because it got a waft of whatever, of Device, if Device didn't put on enough deodorant. I'm sure Device does put on enough deodorant. He looks like he has really good hygiene. But now syrsoN just goes for this peek here. This is just a really strong angle in that a lot of players at the balcony will end up peeking a little high right there. And that is just the weirdest play for me as to why that player did that with the Zeus. And now syrsoN, he actually can spot Magisk, and Magisk kind of weirdly doesn't recognize that. Magisk does find a tag onto him, but that's just such a better fight for an op, obviously. As you see, it results in a kill. And now he actually doesn't get the kill on Dupree, which is very strange, because I felt like he had him dead to rights. But Dupree, with a really kind of wide swing there, wide crouch swing, just kind of maximizing the movement speed in terms of countering the angle that syrsoN was holding. Maybe just a little bit late on the trigger, but usually the crosshair placement would do all the work there. But now syrsoN and Big, they're just trying to wonder what it is they're doing here. And again, you rewind that again. Just look at how he crouched to get over pit right there. And then you see that what he's doing in those moments is just holding for the arch side, because it's very common for people to regress in that position. And now this smoke, it allows the bomb site to be segmented, because now they can worry about just crossing in like that, and then they can fan out. And then syrsoN, just watch how he tries to support this, as he just picks up the library angle, knowing that they don't have a moto smoke. This is pretty important for him. And he just stays glued to this angle. But after a while, realizes, okay, there's a guy in graveyard he might need to worry about. He looks for just a brief second, but all in all, he just knows his job in this kind of more or less like explosion play. It's just a one smoke, just flood out, fan out. Very good procedures from syrsoN and Big here. Even though he only found that one kill at the beginning of the round, I mean, it's still a very important one. In the late round, he doesn't do anything more than he's supposed to. Doesn't recognizes that even though he's been going God mode in this game, he doesn't need to just like go above and beyond. He needs to just do his job, and they will probably convert this one. Kind of weird that he just reloads in that case. At the bottom of steps, now he has to rebuy an op, a very costly mistake, and probably Big are already talking about what's going on in the next round. He just doesn't expect that to happen. And so here, you'll see that he's holding for the porch boost actually to come out from Device. But Device kind of doesn't have the op here, and Device is actually having a really quiet game. You see that he's 4-15 right now. If syrsoN would have won that fight, it would have been pretty much a lights out for Device, all in all. And really, Device never recovers into this game. I'll tell you that. He doesn't ever really pop off here. Big win the 16-8, and syrsoN just going for the contact play into B this time. And this is kind of something you can do when you have an opper that's as hot as him, because look at the picks that are allowed to you. There's nothing that Xyp9x can do. There's no way that he's going to win that fight. I mean, if he's just keyed in on that angle, it doesn't even matter that he has an AUG. He does 96 damage, and now he just loses. If he had a Krieg, you know, maybe he does win that. But look at how much utility. This round is over. This round is pretty much just over for Big in most situations. They smoke CT. They have so many nades. Because they had to use no nades for the rest of this round, for the beginning of this round, they can just keep re-smoking these angles over and over again. And now actually they have a lurk going on right now in Tizian, who actually just cancels out what Dupree is doing in this situation. And now syrsoN, he still has his Molotov. There's just nothing that Astralis can do. That's the power of a contact play in these kinds of situations. Astralis are super desperate here, but they're actually... Oh no. What just... Okay, that got really laggy for some reason. But there's just nothing they could do. And that is the strength of a contact play in a round such as that. It basically takes the guesswork out of playing a post plant. There's just... You have all of your utility, and that single kill is the round. Even though it looked like there was kind of some back and forth going on right there, the fact that it's a full gun round versus a full gun round, and you get an opening entry like that, it's over. It's that simple. That is literally the most impact syrsoN has had in a single round, and he found one kill. I guess it's arguable. The 4K was pretty good, but that round won the round without doing anything else, is what I'm saying. Type in the YouTube comments. Do you think he won the round there for his team? This was kind of a weird one from him early, where he flashes as if he's trying to take control of Banana, but no one actually ends up peeking with it. I'm not really sure why you would do that on T side. On CT side, I could understand it, because then it makes the Ts a little bit more honest in that they have to try to retake the space perhaps, or use a nade, or just make some sound. But on the T side, you're not usually forcing players off the angle, so I find that one a little questionable. That smoke, though, that syrsoN throws, you can see is just that kind of perfect pit smoke, in that it'll make things really awkward for the exec. And this was actually supposed to be a fake, but because actually it doesn't quite work out. This is just a really confusing round for Big. I felt like they were supposed to they were trying to go B here. Then they did a little bit more damage at A than they actually thought they were going to. And now this time it's just Tizian trying to win it out, but he's got nothing to do. And so that's the one round that Astralis win in this half. And it just felt like that, to me, kind of felt like Big were just more disjointed than Astralis. It felt like they were the ones that were actually just confused about what was going on in the plan there. And that's a rare round you see from Big, where they clearly were actually going for something, in that it was kind of an A fake going into a B play, but it just doesn't work out at all. And then kind of the mid round off of the play just didn't look like they knew what to do. And what I love about rounds like this from Big is that a lot of teams would force into it, as they had a lot of money. But look at this. Big with the money that they have 2.5K, 2K on all these players. But because it wasn't just perfect, they actually don't force into the round. They'd rather just play the full-on gun round with full utility. And you'll see here from syrsoN that he's going for the flash towards that arch side. It actually sets up Tabson to find that kill, as you can see. And look at what syrsoN does here. He goes for the full-on rotation flank, because he thinks that if he just moves up port side, he's probably not going to do a lot with his P250, but he actually, using the long kind of retake from Astralis, he actually is able to just win the 1v2 out in that he's able to flank them both. Really nice play from syrsoN, and a lot of players would just opt, they think, okay, oh, I gotta help, I gotta go up porch right now, I gotta try to fight, but that's exactly what Astralis would expect. They would be covering these areas. I mean, you guys saw it. There's no way they expect him to go all the way through B to try to flank through library. That is the winning play. And syrsoN here having huge, like, just mega impact in a round such as that. Flash towards middle to help out tabseN scaling towards mid. You can see that syrsoN really just expects that porch play to come out, that little, you know, the pallet or the boost play, actually, the boost play to come out, but it just really never comes. And so syrsoN leaves the angle. tabseN really feigned a lot of control towards bracket there. And you can see this is actually, like, Astralis is very worried now. They're using a lot of utility. They're unsure of what's actually happening. You can see that the setup right now is not allotting them any information. And so in a round such as this, usually Astralis will try to make a proactive play, but syrsoN will just throw the God Flashes over. And I was showing ZTR actually throw those in the demo we did for him, but he just throws the good utility, helps his teammates scale out, has the Molotov here, trying to not give up a free 1v1 too easily, although he does end up peeking. And now Astralis, they just feel desperate here as they're trying to push through smokes every which way. And syrsoN just doing a very good support job. And you can see in this half that really syrsoN is more or less, like, you know, people... I'll come at Thorn a little bit for this one. He says that there's no such thing as really a support offer. I'll say that's true on the CT side, but on the T side, it can be, like, the way Big are using him here is in a very supportive fashion. He is very, and I've heard other analysts say it too, but it's always fun to just throw Thorn's name out there for the impressions, the engagement. So, you know, it can still work on a team that is very successful. And, like, you know, that term support is, there's a lot of, like, you can get into a whole discussion about the, I guess, epistemological. God, I haven't taken a philosophy class in a while. Like, the epistemological implications of the word support in Counter-Strike. The epistemology, break it down, of the word. I swear, guys, I do have a major in philosophy from an Ivy League, but I just haven't said the word in a long time. But really, he is just kind of taking a backseat to a lot of what his riflers are doing in this half. And you'll see here that they take bracket control, or banana control here, and Dupree, he's made his presence known with Xantres. And this is a very curious setup for me, with syrsoN going towards apartments again, against knowing that there's a Mag 7. But he's actually kind of playing a quick scope game. If anybody peeks into him, he basically just has to no scope or quick scope them, which is like which is really the craziest thing to me. I don't know if I fully agree with that, but, like, Big have these moments in rounds where it's like this person's supposed to pick up this angle for somebody, and they do it with an op holding for a boiler swing. You'll never really see that from a lot of teams in mid rounds. But you'll see that more or less a contact play coming out from the riflers of Big. syrsoN again throws the support utility, doesn't even post up on the angle necessarily, just rather uses the Molotov. And in a post-plant situation, with how hectic this can come, in just a few seconds, you'll see that syrsoN actually picks up the AK, and he actually thinks better. If he pushed there, this could have gotten really bad for him, because he's against an ump. But you'll see that tabseN now falls back towards banana. He's taking the first contact there. And this was actually a pretty cool crossfire briefly, where tabseN was holding out this angle, and actually syrsoN, or vice versa. syrsoN was holding this angle, while tabseN was holding this angle for him. And that's just kind of an unexpected way to play first contact here. And you'll see that they know exactly where Magisk is at this point. syrsoN and tabseN in a pretty much nearly unlosable situation, as they can just play off of each other. It's a full 180 that Magisk would have to play. And whereas normally, guys, I would show the stats, I actually want to show you guys something that's really interesting about the way that syrsoN was able to find his first picks, that a lot of it is actually towards this A bomb site, in that this is a heat map of actually where syrsoN was able to find his opening picks. The one you see, the two you see at Banana, the one at Car was on the CT side, and the one where he's kind of more at the sandbags was when he went for that contact play on the T side. And then you see the boiler room one where he's in there. That was also the T side one, if you remember. But every other dot is actually on the CT side. In fact, it's 7 of these dots are for when he got kills on the CT side, and 2 of them are on the T side. And so it's really cool to just visualize where he's finding these picks, that it's not just the same spot, finding the same kill over and over again. He's consistently changing it up for Astralis, making them have to guess over and over again about where he's going to be peeking next. And the fact that everything was working is why Big were able to mount this mega comeback here. They actually won, if I'm not mistaken, they won 16 of the last 19 rounds. This was mega from Big, and it was really off of the back of some excellent just openings found by syrsoN, and the fact that he was able to lock down some mid-round situations which were very tough. And you could see on the T side, he didn't continue to try to force the issue. He just played within the structure of Big. He rarely was doing anything that was too crazy. I think the craziest plays that he found were his openers, where he found that pick from Boiler. But all in all, that's not really that different from what you would see a lot of operas do. And then also the contact play into B. I think the fact that Device was never really able to get an op rolling in this game, as I will take the heat map off here, just show that he found 7 kills in this game, Device. This was a very poor performance from Device, and you can see actually in the opening picks here for Device that he was actually negative in that as well. And it was just, if you don't have an op to counter another op, that is sometimes the hardest thing for a T side. How do we stop an op? It usually has to be posting up, because a lot of times on Inferno, you can flash off all the angles that an op is going to try to go at, and then if you post your op on those angles, if that op repeaks into you, it's very tough for them. So we saw that Device just couldn't do that here today. And all in all, really good game from syrsoN. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I feel like if you guys like this one, just the ZTR one is probably the best demo review I've done in my life, actually, and I'm not afraid to say that. So really, if you didn't check that one out, I think that one I explained a lot of concepts really well. And really, overall, if you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to give it a like. If you like these videos, subscribe. Check out the other stuff I'm doing on my channel if you're interested in just having more of me. If not, that's fine. Not everybody likes the same things. But be sure to follow on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram even. I have no idea why you would follow me on Instagram, but just do it anyway. Sometimes I post pictures when I go to the beach and things on my story. But as always, guys, being toxic is a choice. And be sure to comment whatever you guys think, whoever you want to see me do next.